Happy Thursday, guys. Today's home workout is for time 18, 15, 12, 9, 6, 3 of thrusters, V-sits, power snatch, and V-sits again. So this workout, guys, gradually increasing our pace as we go down in the reps. And you're going down by 3, so it's a very subtle change in your pace as you go. I would say the 18s to about maybe halfway through the 12s, you might be going a very similar speed. Then once you're kind of halfway past the 12s and you're going down to the 3s there from the 9, 6, and then the 3s, you're increasing that speed. And with the thrusters, power snatch, and the V-sits, ideally let's try to see if we can keep these unbroken. A challenge is a good way to keep your intensity high, but doing this unbroken. So thrusters, whatever you choose today, whether it be dual objects or even just going a single object, try to keep that 18 unbroken. And then same thing with the power snatches. Even if you're going off the floor and you're switching, let's try to keep it moving for all 18 reps there. V-sits are going to be the challenging part. I would say doubling the V-sits, that second round of V-sits, it's always going to get a little bit tough. So if you need to, break these up into 2 sets. So for the 18s, you want to go 9 and 9, or go 10 and 8. Also a good option. And I would say each rep scheme, try to pick 2 sets, and the first set being the higher rep scheme. So if you're doing the 15s, go 10 and 5 or 9 and 6. Avoid trying to max out and then not being able to get as much out in the second set, or doing less reps and then doing more reps in your second set. Okay, that way if you go from a descending rep scheme, you'll have a better chance of keeping your intensity high in this workout and also getting the benefits out of the movement and strengthening those areas. So keep that in mind, guys. Today, I would say for this workout, let's try to aim within somewhere around 15 minutes, plus or minus 3 minutes in either direction there. It'll depend on what weights you guys use for the thrusters or the power snatch. If I were to be doing this workout, I would say use anywhere from a 75-pound barbell to a 95-pound barbell, somewhere around there. So fairly light that you can keep these movements unbroken. Once you're done, guys, you're going to finish off the afterburner, 2 minutes of that lower back stretch, and then 2 minutes of a pancake stretch there. Just opening up the hips there and the QL. So make sure you do get after that one, especially after some of the power snatches and V-sits. Just a lot of those hip hinging can start to tighten up areas. So make sure you start loosening up so that you're ready for the next workout to come. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoy the workout in the afterburner. We'll see you next for the warm-up video. All right, so for today's warm-up, we're starting off with 3 rounds, 10 alternating arch raises. So we're gonna come down to the floor, staying in our Superman position here, also known as a Superman. Going for those arch raises, so we're going to lift the arm and the leg at the same time, but the opposite limb, so cross body there. We're gonna go for those 10 reps there. Really trying to squeeze our glute and our upper back as we do the alternating arch raises. Once we finish that, guys, we're gonna go into a dead bug. And if you like, you can use a weight here for the arm raises in the dead bug. So you'll go into that dead bug position, legs straight, try to have that tailbone on the floor. From there, you're just gonna be dropping that arms down, really trying to catch you in the core, in those lats as well. We're going to be going for 10 reps here. As you do this, guys, I like to think about kind of squeezing the dumbbell together to really engage my lats as I'm coming down and up from that arm raise. As you do that, don't forget about your core. Keep it tight, keep the legs nice and straight, tailbone on the floor. Once you finish that, we're going to go into 10 alternating reverse lunges. So if you want, use weight. I'm going to show you guys body weight version for today. For the alternating reverse lunge, starting about a squat stance, you're going to send that foot directly back, so don't bring it inwards or outwards. Bring it straight back into that lunge, chest up, knee, or shin is nice and vertical to the floor. I'm nice and tall. Then I'm going to use that front foot to drive myself up forward. So I'm going to lift myself up through there, trying not to use the back leg as much. We're trying to activate that hamstring, glute, and keep that chain with our core chain nice and tight as we do that. Once you finish that, we're going to repeat that for 2 more rounds of the alternating arch raises, those Deadbug Arm Raises, and those alternating reverse lunges. Once we finish the 3 rounds, we're just going to do 1 set to prime that upper body. We're going to go for 20 wall squats. So this is my setup here, guys. I don't want to talk to the wall, so pretend this line right here is my wall. I want to start off maybe about a foot away, depending on what your mobility is like. You're going to get your hands overhead. So pretend there's a wall here. I'm going to get my hands overhead, and I'm going to come down to the bottom of that squat, and then back up again. So we're really trying to use this to prime ourselves for the overhead squat. If you feel comfortable, you can keep a good tight core. Notice and also avoiding that butt wink at the bottom. So if I'm coming down, my butt is kind of rounding down. If I can avoid that, then I can get a little bit closer to the wall, make it a little bit more challenging. So I can walk a little bit closer. Now I'm about half a foot away, still keeping my arms overhead, and then again going for that overhead squat, or that wall squat against the wall there. 20 reps there. Break it up, 4 sets of 5, or just do 1 break, just kind of play around with it. Good for mobility, great strengthening, opening up the hips and kind of mimicking that overhead squat position. Once you're done that, grab your PVC, broomstick, whatever object you have that will kind of mimic that bar. We're going to go for 5 overhead squats. Biggest thing I like to say for the overhead squats, guys, is those scaps. When your shoulder blades, try to squeeze them together and slightly pinch them upwards. So we don't want to push them up where we're shrugging our shoulders, and we also don't want to just retract them. I want you to retract and slightly push upwards so we can stabilize that bar overhead in all its directions, okay? So to do that, guys, start with the PVC behind your back, get into your snatch with or overhead squat position with. That means just bring it to your hips. Bring your knee up. If your elbow bends, so let's say I'm here, my elbow's bent, I need to go wide enough that my elbows are straight, then that would be my ideal overhead squat position that you can work with for today. Once I'm there, PVC directly over top of the base of my neck. I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together and slightly pinching upwards, not overly, just a little bit. Elbows are locked out. Both the bony points of my elbow are pointing backwards at about a 45-degree angle. Nice and tight, core is tight. Now I'm coming down to the bottom of my overhead squat, looking straight ahead, holding that for 10 seconds, then coming back up. Obviously that was 10 seconds, but for your warm-up, I want you to hang out at the bottom 10 seconds, keep it light, feel that position out. If you need to go up a little higher in your squat, go for it. This is good to kind of feel out the position, just like we did with the wall squats prior to that. We're kind of putting it together with that overhead squat. And as you feel comfortable, add weight if you want throughout the 5 reps. Make it a little bit more challenging, or even build up to your workout weight. Okay, so that will be the warm-up for today. We'll see you guys next for the movement standards. Try to use just one object for those thrusters. So we're going to hold that in the front rack position. We're going to come down, again, nice and controlled, just like that smooth deadlift. Coming down with control on the way up. Be explosive with the hips and drive that object straight overhead. Make sure, again, with that squat on the way down, we're staying tall with those elbows, making sure they don't drop at the bottom.
The final move is the V-sit. Remember, guys, you can challenge yourselves with a weight between the heel, or you can do a total bar if you have a pull-up bar at home. So for the V-sit, first progression, you can just do a sit-up. So you can get a nap mat under your back, or a towel, roll up a shirt, whatever. We're just gonna come all the way up, touch the shoes, come back down. You can use your arms. Those are a bit too easy for you. For 3, it's probably gonna be a bit too easy. You can switch to a jackknife. So in a jackknife, we start off in that hollow body position. The knees come in towards the chest. The V-sit is very similar, except now we're keeping our legs locked out, and we're trying to bring our arms overhead and then bring the hands in towards the toes. If you don't touch the toes, that's okay. You're just gonna try to get as close as you can, and you're gonna gonna try to keep everything nice and straight. Starting with the alternating snatch. I got a dumbbell here, guys. So depending what you have at home, your starting position might be slightly different, okay? So what I'm getting at is if I have a smaller object, I might have to squat down to reach it versus leaning forward and rounding my back. That is usually your go-to, more natural kind of lean forward, reach for it. But then that changes your spine position, does not keep it in neutral position. So try to get in the habit of hinging with the hips, okay, squatting down if your object is a little bit smaller, okay? To avoid using your back or compromising your back position, use those legs. Just like any lift here that we would use with a barbell, you would deadlift it from the floor. From there, you guys are gonna drive your hips, heels into the floor. As you drive your elbow slightly back, then quickly turn it around and punch it to the ceiling, okay? Avoid that two-step because it's not a clean and press, it's a snatch, okay? So one fluid, continuous movement all the way overhead, okay? Hopefully you guys hit those 5 rounds. Let's cool off now with some mobility. First stretch, go for 2 minutes, and so you're just holding it in the stretch, guys. For this stretch, again, it's the low back that you're trying to emphasize. So you are gonna round your back. You're gonna start by being in the seated position. Bring your heels together. Depending on your flexibility, see if you can get your arms underneath it. But if your flexibility is a little bit tight, you can grab your toes, pull yourself slightly forward. If you start noticing that you're kind of comfortable in this position, slide your arms underneath your shins. Where now you're placing your elbows to the floor, bringing you that much lower. Notice how my back is rounded. To get into this stretch, you want to really just kind of decompress and let everything go. So breathe through it, guys, and just relax your body. Okay, so as you're in this position, you want to be relaxed to let all that tissue in your back just really slowly open it up. If you find that it's hard to breathe, back it off a little bit, okay? Now you're going to create tension. You're not going to really get a good stretch, okay? So go as low as you're comfortable. If you have better flexibility than me, you really want to get lower and lower and lower, guys, to the floor, where you almost even tucking your belly button in to get your QL of so the low back muscle. When you're done the 2 minutes there, then you're gonna go 2 minutes in the pancake stretch. You don't need a post, but you can use a post if you have something at home, or you can grab a door jamb where you kind of reach in to one side. You wanna kick out your feet as wide as you can. Play around with your position of your toes. Sometimes I'll stretch it with my toes going forward. Sometimes I'll pull my toes in. They adjust the stretch just slightly different, okay? So first I'm gonna start with toes in. I'm gonna grab that post, I'm gonna pull myself in. This one's gonna round your back a little bit as well, but your emphasis is on your groin, so your inner thighs. You're pulling yourself in. If you're not getting much of your inner thighs, maybe bring your toes back or forward, kind of play around with the position of your foot. Or last, like I mentioned, you can point your toes where when I point my toes, I'm able to get a little bit deeper of a stretch. Okay, so play around with it, emphasize your groin. You're gonna hold that for 2 minutes to cool off today, guys. We'll see you tomorrow for the next workout.